Beardy and the Beast, the second wall.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is placeholder intro song.
As we continue our water cooler discussion of Carole Tuesday. Today we'll be discussing episodes 4 through 6, and there will be light spoilers for the first 6 episodes. You missed the first episode, please check that out, as we'll be following up with questions raised there. With me, of course, is the harmony of the duo, Drew.
Hey!
Please like, subscribe, comment on your platform of choice, all of which can be found at beardyandthebeast.com. So, Drew, thoughts on 4 to 6?
I guess overall, can I buy conflict, please? No, to be honest, it was really good. I especially liked 4, which I felt kind of more throwaway. But it was very heartwarming and like there was a lot of togetherness. So I
Yeah,
guess like there was a lot of emotional satisfaction in 4 and parts of 6. Um, but overall, in its entirety, like not seeing any conflict is throwing me off. M- Mind you, in a typical setting, I would have likely binged through past this point on my first day of watching this for any other series.
yeah,
So this one's kind of tough to say.
yeah. No, that's fair. Um, episode 4, of course, the making of the ultimate music video. Um,
And I tell you,
it,
it was the ultimate music video. Like, it was bad, but it was my style.
yeah,
Like, I
well,
really enjoyed like it, just the way that it progressed through the different scenes. Everything was random. We got zombies, we got sports cars, like oh,
giant robots.
giant robots.
Yeah, yeah, it's. I just like the idea of them throwing spaghetti at the wall and deciding it all stuck.
Mm.
Um, I really liked a lot of things in the music video too, just the references to other music videos. I mean, again, you kind of had that Michael Jackson "Bad," you had the Aha's "Take on Me"
That's something I
reference there.
found interesting when they were discussing what they wanted in um the videos. Like Tuesday was kind of her the things she wanted were um like genre or topic plus boys. Carol wanted um essentially remakes of uh, already existing music videos that have dancing in them.
Yeah,
Um, Whereas Gus, he seemed to be referencing movies and
mm,
heroes, as near as I could tell. And then Roddy was like your your classic old school MVs like Take on Me and so forth. So like picking up there's so many little references in that 30-second period. My little nostalgia brain, which almost never activates because I'm not a nostalgia guy, was just going like, oh hey, oh hey, oh hey, but it was all in a positive manner, so I really enjoyed that.
yeah. Um, i- yeah, I honestly watched the video a second time because I'm like, I know there's music references and just kind of went through. It's like I feel like they might have been referencing Money for Nothing, but I wasn't 100% certain because there's that really crappy CGI part in the music video and such too that they're doing. But I don't think it was quite Money for Nothing.
It could have been because they weren't going for like on the nose.
Yeah,
They were going light reference. So I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised if you did like some depth of research and the director said, "Yeah, we slipped some money for nothing in there." I mean,
yeah,
that one was even called "Video Killed the Radio Star,"
yeah.
which I mean that was kind of dear to me because a lot of the media of our generation just references that all the time.
Oh yeah,
Uh, so like anyone in our peer group, plus or minus 7 years would have, even if they've never seen the video, would understand the reference.
yeah. Oh, exactly. And it's the perfect like. What other song title choice are you going to choose to have when you're talking about making a music video? Like
Hmm.
it's just the video, right? You have to just the song. So
Talking like positively about 4 or 5 was um it was kind of a step up. I actually didn't like that I didn't get to see any progression of Angela in 4. She was absent from it completely.
Yeah,
Um, it was kind of throwaway, kind of not. It was more about establishing like the relationships of the characters within that small group.
yeah.
Um, but when we get to 5, um, with introduction and more with Angela, and you get to see her developing as well. Not so
Mm,
much Tao, but uh, 6 was probably it had some themes, concepts, and curiosities for me, um, more than any other episode so far.
right, right. Let's
Yeah.
talk about 5 for a second first, right?
Hmm.
Um, so of course, this is their first concert is in that one, the little coffee house, and I absolutely loved that scene. Like, it's little things from the owner of the speakeasy, um, where just like not lighting her smoke while they're
Mm.
playing, like just getting like having someone who literally just does this all the time, never hearing them going and her being enthralled in it. Um, the lyrics to the song, of course, very relevant, especially considering her brother ends up coming in and hearing that song,
Oh, so
right?
heartwarming because like I was sitting there and I'm like, he's gonna do something, and I could, because of the way that they animate it, you can see emotion, and I'm
Yeah,
like, I know he's not there because he wants to be,
yeah,
and then he leaves because he chose to, and I'm pretty sure, uh, it's either that he like secretly supports what Tuesday is doing, or is envious of that same freedom
yeah,
because he knows that he's trapped within his life. I'm actually hoping to see in 7 through 9 more of that character develop.
right, all right. Yeah, and it's yeah, it's just it's so heartwarming, and I mean, like he comes into a song, the song is like "Someday I'll find my way home." It
Mm.
it could have been like I mean, it's on the nose, but it works, right? Like he's hearing that and it's like, "No, I'll figure it out. Don't worry," right? So I think just the kind of that brotherly aspect is just, like you could tell he could see.
Yeah, and well, having
What-
trust in his little sister.
Yeah, yeah. Um, um, and I guess yeah, that's kind of the big point that I wanted to talk about. Like I absolutely love that scene and that song. Uh,
It did get,
s-
I did have kind of breaking out of like the heartwarming part. I did have uh a get a load of this from Back to the Future kind of feeling.
yeah,
I just uh it just like had that moment in my head. Like I mentioned this before, um when we were talking previously, where I'll yell things at the TV, things like "Now
yeah,
kiss" or something like that.
yeah,
And that's kind of the thing, throwing a reference at a piece of media I'm watching like it's listening to me when it's obviously not.
yeah,
But I did have that Back to the Future reference thrown at it, and then rewarded with the phone call
yeah,
for the promoter.
yeah,
And I was like, "Oh, do it," and they didn't, which was nice. But
yeah.
anyway,
Um, and yeah, I guess on to episode 6. So a lot happened there for the girls.
hmm
I-
and the hopefully the introduction of characters Skip and Crystal. Uh, this one had another scene that I really enjoyed, um, when they were dodging Ertajan, never pronounce his name right, and they go into Skip's trailer, and like they're super spooked out, and I think it was the violin player like puts her foot up so they can't get out, and then he
Yeah,
comes out and just lays some like music sage advice on their butts, and
yeah,
I'm just like, followed by him going on stage and just like falsetto, like
yeah,
I honestly, if I wasn't already kind of pulling for Carol and a little bit for Gus,
yeah,
uh Skip would probably be my favorite character in the show, just from that introduction.
Yeah, no, it it's nice to see, like, cause and we talked about that just in media in general, is like that idea of selling out. It's like, yeah, you're just doing this. You get to a point where you just do it because it's what is expected of you. To have that, someone goes like, no, I see that, and try not to lose,
Mm,
right? Right, lose that. People get into this to have that,
exactly.
right?
I mean, that being
And
said, like, I'd sell out. Give me enough money.
um, well, I mean, I think there's a difference between. I guess there's two different types of selling out,
Yeah, I guess there is
right?
chasing the popular sound so that you can make money
Yeah.
rather than selling your art in a manner that's ultra profitable. I think would be the two most roundabout ways to kind of talk about the different forms of selling out.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Uh,
Um.
I don't see Carole and Tuesday do, and if they do, it'll be a single episode conflict within season two.
Mm, right.
Like if I were to just throw something into the future, that's that will be their episode, their very small touch base about selling out.
Yeah. Um. So I guess let's just briefly touch on their performance when they're on stage. They're um. At I can't imagine going up on stage. Like I understand that they weren't the people that they were expecting and such like that, but just to have 100,000 people just shit on you essentially,
Uh,
right? And go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna make fun of social media.
Mm.
No, they like never really they hadn't performed for more than 10 people before, and they immediately went up, and there was like, estimated possibly 100,000 people who were hostile to them, and they
Yeah.
still got up, um, still did their thing while dodging like refuse being thrown at them. Like I've watched a lot of media as of late as we've been ramping uh, up this podcast series, and honestly, I haven't seen a situation that I would consider more emotionally brave
Yeah.
than them getting up and playing to that crowd. Like I'd be a wreck. Like
Mhm.
it would take more than one bottle of uh, Jackson. No, it wasn't Jackson. Jeremy,
Joshua.
Joshua. All the J's. I was thinking, uh, yeah.
Yeah.
It would take more than a single bottle of his secret brew to get me up there and performing.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I mean, the one thing I know from that is like, they didn't let they didn't let it get them down when they were performing. They waited till they were off stage, understandably had a breakdown. And then Crystal, which, from the first episode, they're both talking about how he's one of their favorite singers,
mm,
right? Coming out and it's like, no, don't worry, even if one person heard you, that's good. And I can tell you one person heard you,
oh, jeez.
right?
I- if it was the right day,
Yeah.
that would have had me tearing up.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't this time, but if I were to rewatch it, I might.
Yeah.
Uh, I was definitely sitting there and I was doing the oh, and then the response to that, like they get approached, um, by Gus and Roddy, like they were really sad, which they obviously were, but
Yeah.
then had that turnaround, which was entertaining to me.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just, and of course the song Unbreakable, like it, again, a little bit on the nose, but it worked. It's almost like it could have been singing about them, like their bond being unbreakable
Mm.
as everything was going on. So, and again, it doesn't come out of nowhere because they mentioned that song right in the first episode. So
Oh, Crystal's Unbreakable.
yeah.
I honestly, I definitely caught up on that, but I was so enthralled in the Skip Crystal situation because they
Mm,
were definitely playing on Skip was talking about Crystal and even said like that this is your song. And
yeah,
then I was like, this is probably a callback because it's an older song of Crystal's. It that was probably a song about Skip Crystal did.
yeah,
And then obviously a popular one she has to perform it again. But I don't think they're together anymore. Obviously, they seem to have that awkwardness.
yeah. I, I agree. Like I think it was the callback to Skip, but it's nice that it
Had
also
meaning.
worked with yeah, it's the layers. It had those connections. So, um, so I guess let's kind of go through some of the follow up on some of the things that we were asking there before.
Okay.
So you did touch on one of your big themes you thought was togetherness. You definitely mentioned that was there. I think we've kind of mentioned that a couple times as we've been going through the episodes. Um, they're supporting each other.
Hmm.
So I think it's safe to say that that's still one of the proper themes.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I think they're still going to be gathering their cohort.
yeah,
Uh, I really think Ertajon reluctantly, and I mean, I'd like to see Angela and the girls interact, but I could definitely see them pulling her. Mostly because, well, I just had a little click in my head.
all right,
Uh, One of the primary themes that I see so far, and this is me finally being able to put it together to work in words, is the people in the show seem to be incomplete. There's seems to be like aspects missing or something missing in their lives, and I think the togetherness is what's going to fill that hole. So in that aspect, I could see Angela joining them. Uh,
right.
yeah.
Um, all right. So the big theme again. So yeah, so still togetherness, um, the incompleteness. Anything else happening with that you're noticing with how everything's interacting, or are those kind of the those just the core things?
There was an interesting thing that threw me off and I didn't expect, and I think it might have just been kind of a written throwaway thing, but in episode 4, uh, the way that Carol was talking when Gus was kind of like, "Oh yeah, I can arrange some things for you," like she seemed very skeptical and in such a manner that like I didn't see where that trust kind of changed from episode 1 to 3, where they kind of had some type of trust that he was a capable person that was able to do things, to like, oh yeah, you're just saying that sort of situation. It was kind of like a single line, but it stuck with me that Carol said. So like I'm wondering if that'll become a theme. Uh but it's hard to say.
All right, all right. Um, Still not feeling any antagonists.
Hmm. No, I'm not seeing anything really come together. I think uh maybe the music exec, can't remember his name, starts with an H. I think it starts with an H. Um, it could be Tao.
And still kind of in the same vein there.
That's why I
Uh,
say like want to buy conflict because nothing has developed. It hasn't ramped up. Um, and maybe it's just me being over analytical or looking for things in the series and maybe even being slightly disappointed when I don't see them, like common themes, tropes, etc. Because I am purposefully over analyzing things in the show because
All
we
right.
are recording it for a podcast.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to lead a little tiny bit here.
Okay.
Not hopefully not too much. I just want to see if it sparks anything. Um, you've said multiple times you see Tao as being the main antagonist.
Yes.
He's one of your lists. So, what aspects of that? What's making that click for you there?
The reason why I say that is because of the absence of a obvious antagonist.
Okay.
Essentially, I would say Tao is the runner up, and because I don't see another one, I'm defaulting to him. So it's not that he has any other qualities. Um, like, for all I know, his secret desire is to create the most perfect song ever to, draw in hearts and minds. And the only way he knows how to accomplish that is via AI or some grand narrative like that. But like I don't see anyone else trying to use the girls. I don't see anyone trying to stop the girls. So reading ahead, the only possible antagonist I see at this point would be Tao, even though
Okay.
he's had no interaction with them.
Okay.
I mean, for all I know, something corny could happen. Like he hears their song and he completely changes as a human being.
Yeah.
Uh,
You actually said that before too.
yeah, if that happens, I'm throwing something at the TV and going, "Oh, come on!" But
All
they
right.
they could do it right. Honestly, I trust at this point, only 6 episodes in. I trust that this series could do something like that in a manner that would not be disappointing to me.
Right.
Uh, the way that they develop the narrative and the writing and the visuals, the music, the way that it accompanies it, uh, they could lead me into discovering something like that, opposed to just putting it on the nose,
Right.
and that would be 1,000 times better.
Yeah. Of course. Um, the Ertigen. I know we didn't get as much of him, but there was the little bits there.
There was a lot in
Yeah.
in those little bits.
Yeah.
Uh, the primary one that I saw, he had like 2 lines in episode 4.
Yeah.
And one of those lines probably had the most character defining thing out of anything that he said in the series so far to me. Um, I can't remember exactly what he said, but the connotation of that is that he was treating Roddy as a little brother,
Mm.
as like as a little sibling, opposed to just the person who programmed the AI for his song or whatnot.
Yeah. It was something like anything for you, Roddy. As long as it's
Yeah,
not for the girls.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
it really gave me that feeling, and I had like that's actually like, I'd do that for a little brother, and
Yeah.
then I'd probably freak out when they returned my car exploded, which I don't understand how they obtained explosives on their budget for that music video, but whatever, I'll give it to them.
Oh, I remember lending a friend a car and it coming back with like this big dent on the side and yellow marks.
Hey, you got a full tank of gas out of that.
All right. Let's see. You've talked to them and Angela. We get to see her first kind of performance, and
It was obviously she sang well in it and could have sang better. What she was missing in the performance was heart.
mm,
Even in the animated form of this, like I could tell she was just singing because she was told to sing. There's no emotion behind the words,
right.
and I'm wondering if they told uh the person who sang for the recording to sing like that,
Okay.
like to not put that emotion in. One thing that I noticed about her is I think her self confidence is a ruse. Again, like a lot of small lines are just like throwing random big themes at me, and this is one of them. I think her self confidence is fake, and it's like if I were to turn to you and be like, "I'm the coolest," right?
Yeah.
Like, and I say that like in a confident tone. I'm actually looking for affirmation.
Yeah.
I want you to say yes. So I'm essentially asking you a question um, that is a yes or no question so I can get an affirmation of what I want. And I think that's the description of Angela's like big self confidence. I
Right.
think it's an error and I think it's used as a ruse to seek affirmation.
All right.
Uh, yeah.
Fair enough. And then, of course, Carole and Tuesday. Don't know if we need to really go and talk about. Well, I guess where do you think they're going in the next few episodes here? Like with what happened in the last three?
They're gonna as the kids might stay, they're going to stay on their grind. I'm hip kids, fellow youths. Um, there's not much that you can predict to them. They'll probably have more small situations where they show togetherness, like the one that they had in 6, where they just like, let's do a rock song, let's do it now, and then
Yeah.
just like making it on the spot sort of thing. Um, so I'm not sure the development for them. I'm thinking whatever future development happens to them will be in relation to whatever the conflict is, either person as an antagonist or uh, a theme or barrier as the conflict point.
Right. Overall, thinking of anything where the show might be going next?
Not especially. Uh, had I seen any large changes in the characters as of yet?
Yeah.
Like I didn't see like a big change or alteration in them, just more elaboration. This is kind of like a slow boil of characters,
Yeah.
slowly introducing them and unraveling them. Just Carol and Tuesday were definitely like, here's large points about them. They wear it on their sleeve so that you can get attached to those characters quickly. But they're rolling out everyone slowly, and I'm really enjoying that. Finding out these little things or assuming these little things about the characters as it progresses.
Right.
Uh, I wouldn't have if I were to have any predictions for. I believe the next set will be 7 through 9. Uh, Introduction of conflict. We might have another throwaway episode. Um, and I mean throwaway. I mean something that doesn't progress the plot and just develops the characters themselves.
Right.
Something like 4. Uh, we're likely to see issues with Tuesday's mother, and I'm hoping not too much politicking. I hope more just peripheral stuff related to her. Uh, but I would like to see an interaction between Tuesday and her brother,
Right.
and that's likely to happen. And Ertigun, he's gonna have his turnaround. It's gonna be because of Tuesday. Calling it now.
In the next few episodes or in the near future?
Episode 9. Putting a hard stamp on that. That's when it's gonna happen.
Right.
I'm actually Ertigun's becoming one of my favorite characters.
I'm not surprised.
The reason why I think I thought he was self-absorbed to start. I know this is kind of out of nowhere. But I'm really wondering if that's just a stage character at this point.
Yeah.
Because he had that psych up point where he was like, where Roddy replied to him, "You're the best Ertigun that you've ever been," and that made
Mm.
me just think, is this just a big stage facade, like a
Yeah.
stage character that he plays? And I mean, a lot of artists do that.
Very true. Um, any anything tropey that you're seeing this time around? I know we kind of talked about. that before. You said you had no idea how tropey it was gonna be.
It's in most it seems to be avoiding a lot of the ones that you might expect from this style of this genre of like animated um media. Most things would have introduced a romantic interest at this point,
Yeah.
probably around 4 or 5. Most things would have uh, already introduced like a major antagonist point or conflict point, which they haven't done as of yet. Uh, I'd be both sad or disappointed if it just kept going as is
Okay.
and there wasn't a major conflict thing. Um, but that's just me coming from more standardized media, especially Western television. Is
Yeah.
terrible in that way. Um, but I would be super happy if they just, at least in season 1, if they just kept like romance out of it, except
Yeah.
maybe like Roddy pining for the girls.
Yeah.
Because he's not pining for Gus
That you know of.
that I know of.
Um, so let me
I mean, I'm still shipping Roddy and Angela, so
checks out. So I think that covers most of those. I am going to say this. Um, I am seeing a theme that I can clearly define. I know from how you're answering these questions you see, but you haven't put words to it.
nice. Oh,
So
this is so fun.
yeah, and yeah, you keep skirting around it, and I think again, I think it partially fills some of that like conflict and such that you're talking about, um, in the antagonist. But I'm gonna leave it there. Just let you simmer on that one there for a little bit.
Yeah, well, I want to
um,
like listen to these back and just like have it blow my mind.
yeah, because you definitely skirt on the one that I've been trying to point you towards without pointing you towards it.
Yeah.
um, so uh, I guess any other thoughts on it before we wrap up here?
One thing that I noticed, and they were able to express well, and this goes back to 5 and 6.
All right.
Um, they were able to express it really well in a small amount of writing and like very small amount of screen time. Uh, but all the old business pros, be
Yeah.
it Gus's ex-wife, who was absolutely awesome, uh, the the lady who owned the independent club, who was fantastic, and then of course my boy Skip, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Crystal yet. I'm sure she has some sage-like advice too, but Skip's my boy. They all gave this impression that they understood where Carole and Tuesday were coming from and where they are in their journey. Um, and like that knowing nod, that knowing smile they seem to have in like their very small interactions or discussions regarding Carole and Tuesday. And it's one of the things that this entire series has done the best so far,
Yeah.
using very small interactions to highlight what's going on in the series
Yeah.
as a whole. And I'm thinking we're gonna see more and more of that. Like if I were to rewatch 1 through 6, I'd probably be like, "Oh yeah, there's another one and another one."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right. With that, then we'll wrap up the second wall here. Make sure to check out Media Club next time, where we'll be discussing The Little Hours, and we'll be back with Carol and Tuesday, episode 3, which will cover 7 through 9. Uh, right after that. We'll, they'll all be up on your podcast network of choice, the list of which can be found at beardyandthebeast.com. And we're also on most social media platforms, so join us there. Thanks for joining Beardy and the Beast Second Wall. Have a great week, and see you next time.
Later.